love it when you're trying to find a good spot for this and it doesn't want to work. Anyway, let's put this down over here. There we go. Alright. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Had to adjust the camera some, but we're finally on. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Forrest over here, and welcome back to another live stream. Today, well, I should say tonight because it is technically midnight, and it kind of is technically Christmas Eve, but you know what? Whatever. We're still doing this anyway. But welcome to another live stream. Today, I will be doing, as I said on a community post earlier, I will be doing a live reading of the Dr. Seuss classic story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, before we begin with this, let's talk about How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I did grow up with the Grinch. I have seen all three versions of the Grinch. With my personal favorite being the one by Jim Carrey. But in any case, no, I have seen all three of them, but for me personally, my favorite one would definitely be the Jim Carrey version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But that's not to say that the other two versions of the Grinch are not good. They're both good in their own way. I just prefer the one that I started watching first out of all three of them. With the original animated cartoon version of the Grinch coming out in 1960, and pretty much, if you've watched that version of the Grinch, you pretty much have read a animated retelling of this classic story. If you watch the 2000 version of the Grinch, it's the same way, but it's live action, and you get more of a story involving that version. And then you have the 2017 version, I believe it was. I know it was by Universal and Illumination. I know that one. That was the latest one that came out. But like I said, I prefer the Jim Carrey version, which comes to the next part. I honestly was debating this a little bit, honestly, but after doing it this way, I have been told I have a pretty good Grinch voice that's similar. It's not exactly on point, but it sounds very similar to Jim Carrey. And that's because I remember doing this last year. I was at my workplace, and I work in a public setting where I'm working with other people, like other customers, and every so often we do have these little kids that come in the store with their parents, and especially at this time of year, I would be like, whenever whenever somebody says something about Christmas, occasionally I'm either being like the nice guy, are you excited for Christmas? Yeah, what do you want for Christmas? And, answering the question. But last year I was doing it with the Grinch voice. I was like, are you having a holly jolly Christmas? Man, I hate Christmas. It's the worst time of the year. Why? Because every year I got to hear these who's down in Whoville with their crazy little antics. The only good thing about Christmas every year now is they let me come down there with a certain moment that happens at the end of this book. So that's what we're doing here, pretty much. I am going to be using the Grinch voice that I have, and I will be reading to the young people, if there are any young people watching this video, whether it's by watching it live along with the retelling of this story, or if they're watching the VOD. Either way, I will be reading this story with my Grinch voice. It's going to be really fun and also kind of awkward for me, because this is the very first time that I've ever used my Grinch voice live on the internet in any way, shape, or form. In any case, we're going to be reading this story like this throughout the whole damn thing. Okay? I shouldn't apologize. I shouldn't cuss. I know, because how the Grinch stole Christmas is differently. But just like so many other people, sometimes the cuss words can come out at the worst, accidentally. Okay? We're all adults here. Okay? We're all adults. So don't try to go crazy on me in the comments, because how dare I use the Grinch voice and say one little cuss word. We're all good people. We're all fine. We're just going to read the story, and that's all we're going to do. Okay? Okay. Here is the story of how the Grinch, that's me, see right there, that's me, how the Grinch stole Christmas. Unfortunately, because of reasons, I cannot actually read the story to the people, because, like, I can read it, but I can't do it like this. I mean, I typically could. Let me see here. Camera! Freaking work with me here. Max! Get this camera working. For goodness sakes, I'm not gonna pay you with adult treats if you let the camera get too crazy with us. Okay? Okay. Man, damn it, Max! Quit messing with the camera. Good lord, this no. Don't get me wrong, I love Max, okay? But I can't help it when I gotta get upset with him because he keeps messing with the camera. Anyway, here is the story of how the Grinch stole Christmas. Normally I would read, so let's see here. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Look at that picture. Look at that picture. Okay? That picture is really cool. It's really good work. I like how that tree looks right there. It's really good work. I love it. That actually is very much, and also you can see me in that picture if you look carefully. As in, you don't need to look very hard at all, and if you do, and if you have trouble, you'll really need glasses. Don't even try to go there with me. Just saying. For Teddy Owens. This book is for Teddy Owens, according to this book. Anyway, let's begin with the story. Let me see if I can fix my camera here. God dang it, camera! Just work with me here. I'm just gonna do it like this then. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please, don't ask why. Nobody quite knows the reason. No one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. Yes, I will admit my head does go a whole 360 like an owl. I can't help it. It just sort of happens. And those shoes that time of year were pretty tight, but they keep my feet warm. Just saying. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Yeah, I did have a pretty small heart. I should have had that checked when I was little. But whatever. It is what it is. It cannot be helped. Like, occasionally it comes, I will admit, it does occasionally come every once in a while. It comes back. But after some love from the people at Whoville, it does go back to its size that you would expect it to be nowadays. Anyway. But, whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown, at the warm lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, handing a mistletoe wreath. And they're heading their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming, for tomorrow he knew. All the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. Yes, it can be kind of annoying. It's kind of like hearing those little kids going crazy over their video games on Call of Duty. I know this, yes, the Whovilles back. Just so we're all clear. This is a retelling from when I hated Christmas. Nowadays, I don't hate it as much, but good lord, do the kids who play Call of Duty very much annoy me because they're whining and crying because they're getting their butts kicked. Every time! In any case. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and a rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. I used to be a vegetarian, but then, well, actually, no, I wouldn't lie. I was kind of jealous that they would do that, because I liked the roast beast, but the fact that they would never invite me to join them with that kind of made me mad. That alone was very upsetting for me, but anyway. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this whole Christmas sin, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. Yes, it was so awful back then. I thought it was very brilliant. That's why I went with it. Well, moving on. I'm getting too evil for my own good now. This is bringing back so many memories. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and chuckled. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. Should I sing the song now because of Jim Carrey singing this when he does this? You know what? Forget it. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are an eel. You're as cuddly as a catfish and as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. I'm not singing the whole song. You got the Jim Carrey version on YouTube. You don't need me to sing it. We're moving on anyway. We're getting off topic a little bit anyway. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No! The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, who kept messing up the camera. Then he tied some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. I mean, look at this thing. He looks like a rain. Does he? Does Max not look like a reindeer? He looks like a reindeer to me. At least that's what I thought. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Get up!" And the sleigh started down toward the houses where the fools lay at snooze in their town. They never saw it coming. They up until getting a little bit ahead of myself, but they never saw it coming. They never did, and I love that. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number one," the old Grinchy claws hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Max, you better not have glued these pages together while I was waiting to tell their story, you hear me? Don't give me that puppy dog look. You know you probably did it. You better not, or I'm going to be mad if you did. Where was we? Oh, yes. We're about to make stop number one. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. I mean, yes, look at me. I had a bit of a belly, I won't lie. Probably not as big as Santa Claus, but I had a bit of a belly. But I still managed to make it down there. As if you didn't know this already if you've read the story or watched the movies. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head down and the fireplace flew. The fireplace flew. When the fireplace flew. Yeah, I'm trying to get the words right. Shush. Shut up, Max. Don't laugh at me. When the little who stockings all hung in a row, these stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: popguns and bicycles, rollerblades, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns, and plums. I know I said popcorns, be quiet. And he stuffed them in bags, then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Yeah, not the chimney, the chimbley. Yes, there's a difference. They're made the same, but we just like naming them differently. Why not? Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. Oh yes, I was so evil for stealing the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. That's the ultimate troll move! Taking the last can of Who hash. Yes! Yes! That was the ultimate troll move. When you take the last can of something and you rub it in their face. Yes! Where were we? Oh, yes. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around and fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was no more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here. And the Philistine fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. I won't lie, she was very sweet. She was being very nice. But you know, when you got a plan, you got to make a foolproof, foolproof plan. And that somehow worked because she was 2 years old. If she was any older than if she was a few years older, she would not be falling for that, I bet. And when the Cindy Lou Who went to bed with a cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. And the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. I know I butchered that saying, but whatever, we're moving on. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Look at that mouse. Even he said, "What the heck, Grinch? You even left me with pretty much nothing? How dare you?" And on my way up I laughed, because not even the mice were safe from my stealing Christmas. We're moving on. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. Hey, sucks to be a mouse. It was dawn, although Who's still abed, although Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the whip, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. Yes, I literally left no stone unturned. Not a single speck of dust was safe from me. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh, pooh, to the Who's, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That was a good fake cry, I do say so myself. "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "and I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. Then he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Look at my face. I was so surprised by everything that happened that I saw. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without their presence at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came on the. I can't read because the light is so dark and that red is covering the black words. I can't help it. Somehow or other. Hold on, let me really do that bit. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened that day? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his sloat through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he... No, I did not flush the toilet. Calm down. He himself. He... Hold on 1 second. I'm getting something from background. Give me 1 second. I was right near the end of the story when that happened. um. Yeah, I apologize for the interruption. But that's what happens when you do a live stream. Sometimes interruptions may happen, sometimes they may not. How very fitting, though, that it happened to happen on the very last page of the book. So yes, what did I do? What did I do? Well, to put it simply, because the last page we're on, might as well answer it. Even though it kind of got ruined because we got interrupted a little bit, but whatever. He himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And that was the story. I do apologize for the interruption at the very end there. We were so close to that interruption, but it happens. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this camera toward me now because we're done reading the book. So yes, that was how the Grinch stole Christmas. And in case you didn't know, there was a sequel to this book titled How the Grinch Lost Christmas. If we actually manage to go along with another year without a hitch, I may just read that story next year. But for now, I will be reading. I've done my reading of the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So with that being said, I got a bit of a question that I will do a community post on. Which version of the Grinch was your favorite? Was it the original book itself, the 1960 animated classic, the 2000 Jim Carrey's version live-action movie, or the 2017 3D animated version? I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about that. But somebody said it was very wholesome. Yes, this is by Dr. Seuss. I want to start with the Grinch voice because we're done reading the book. But yes, this story is by Dr. Seuss, but it is a story by Dr. Seuss, so chances are it's gonna be wholesome. They'd be thankful it wasn't written by Ronald Dahl. because Ronald Dahl's story was pretty dark in their own way. They were aimed at kids, but they were dark tales, not on the verge of Brothers Grimm dark, but dark in their own way. But yeah, for me personally, like I said before when I first started this, my favorite version of this book, like of this story, 2000 Jim Carrey version, definitely, wholeheartedly, no questions asked. Because ironically, I only bought this book just for the sake of reading it tonight. But I do, but I will say, I have seen the book, but up until tonight, I have never read it. So I did not know how different it was going to be compared to the at least the 1960 version, because with the 1960 animated version, you're basically getting a story being told with the animation going along with it. So pretty much, if you've watched the 1960s version, you pretty much know how the book goes. Even though there's some extra stuff added in, like the song that the Who's down in Whoville sing at the beginning and near the end of this, at the beginning and the end of the animation, as well as the classic "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." Yeah, I did kind of hint toward that. I mean, I had to. Come on. When as soon as he said, "With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick," I had to sing that bit for a little that Jim Carrey version for a little bit. But yeah, so that was How the Grinch Stole Christmas, read by me in my Grinch voice. Um, Let me see if I have it over here. Actually, not the story that I was thinking about reading after this, because I did want to do this story. God, it's right over here. Jeez, cow, man. Yeah, whatever. Let me see if I can find this book. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't, because of course it wouldn't appear. But I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, because of course it wouldn't appear. I know I made a rhyme, shush. Wait a minute. I just realized that it should be. Ah, man. Good Lord, Forrest, try not to hurt yourself, why don't you? Because I know I got it over here, I just gotta try to find it, and it's gonna be fun trying to. Yeah, I'm not determined to try to find this book. Well, at this point, I'm probably gonna have to. At this point, I'm gonna have to try to find it later. But in any case, so yeah, so Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it later. But yeah, so I will not be live streaming on Christmas Eve, which is technically today, because I will be celebrating Christmas Eve with my family. But I will be as well as for Christmas Day. But I will be live tomorrow night because, as I said in the community post, I will be. But like I said, I will be reading A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I do have a version of the book. I will be reading that version tomorrow night. Yeah, on Christmas night. Because I feel like it makes a lot of sense. But in any case, that is going to do it for me here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, this is Forrest Walpole, signing off.